In just the last few months, Bobbi Althoff celebrity interviews are blowing up online. But who is she? Where did she even come from? And is she an industry plant like everyone says she is?
Bobbi Althoff, who's like, I mean, you're kind of taking over everything right now. I'm very confused and just came out of nowhere with gigantic guests. And that's why people are joking about the plant. But then I was like, maybe she is a plant.
She started her social media presence on TikTok, gaining popularity for her parenting videos, which had her unique sense of humor. She's married to a man named Corey, who is a self-taught programmer and successful author. Many have also pointed out that Bobbi seems to come from a rich family, claiming that her father worked on Snoop Dogg's mansion.
My dad did work on Snoop Dogg's house.
So with all this in mind, what does the term industry plant mean anyway? An industry plant is an artist who has major financial backing for their movement but presents themselves as a homegrown startup label to create a pseudo-organic following. They act as if things are miraculously happening for them based on their talent.
So how did you get these humongous people so quickly?
Luck, I would say mostly, but also just like putting myself out there. Like I'm not afraid to do things that embarrass myself and like shoot my shot.
Oh, so this is easy game. This is just be like, I want a big podcast.
Yeah,
slide
exactly.
into Drake's DM.
Exactly.
And shoot your shot.
No, but
It
but
works.
then I went like,
When you actually look at the definition, it's not about some puppet master controlling your every move, it's more about misrepresenting yourself. By this logic, Bobbi is almost definitely an industry plant. Earlier this year, her Really Good podcast show has blown up in popularity, and her guests become more high-profile with every interview. In her podcast with Mark Cuban, she says that her podcast is putting her into credit card debt and that she's actually broke.
I don't have any money
None?
at all. I have debt actually.
You have debt? How much debt do you have?
Right now I have like $20,000 of debt.
That sucks. Is that from school or is that from...
No, from my podcast.
Oh, for your podcast? What'd you
Yeah.
borrow money for?
I didn't. Well, I just borrowed it from the bank. Just every episode that I film, I spend a lot of money on.
Wow.
I haven't made it.
Now, I don't want to assume she's lying, but it's extremely difficult to believe she's struggling.
People think I'm joking about being in debt, and I'm like, I'm not. Like I put every penny I had into this podcast. Like
No offense, but like it doesn't look like an overly like huge production.
Look at her show's aesthetics, which clearly try to put on the farce that this is some small little podcast carried by Mrs. Althoff on her back.
Like I would drive to LA once a week and find people that I'd pay $300 to be on my podcast.
Who was your first guest?
Colleen Ballinger.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And you came in here, you're signed by William Morris. You got a PR team.
Jessica and Jamie.
I know how hard it was to get Drake. And I know the hoops that had to go through for the internet and the sign off.
At one point, Dave Portnoy just calls her out.
Because I was traveling to every single thing, and like nannies are like, and then hotels.
William Morris is going to be paying for that.
For my flight.
The image of a young woman doing it all on her own is attractive to other young people, and this illusion she creates ultimately hurts those who idolize her.
Well, you got a great agent and you got a great agency.
So I would drive to LA once a week.
From?
Laguna Beach.
Okay.
I paid people to be on it, and
Well, you didn't pay like that first person that you
no,
mentioned.
I paid. So what happened was after I ran out of her, like I ran out of the people I knew that had following, I was like, oh God, like getting guests is really hard. Like I don't know how to
very
get
hard.
it is.
I wanted to thank everyone for the support on my first video, and also want to clarify that although she might be a phony, I do not condone any hate or harassment towards Bobbi.